welcome to our viewers across the United States, around the world. It is Election Day in America.
This election night will be historic no matter who wins.
And down the stretch they come. We've been talking about Hillary Clinton opening up that lead. Enthusiasm for her is also growing.
New polls just out tonight nationally. Hillary Clinton now at 47 to Donald Trump's 42.
Its crowds are larger, they're more enthusiastic, and they're going to show up at the polls.
CNN now projects that Donald Trump will carry the state of Wisconsin. He will win Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes.
Some big news here, Megan. Huge news. Actually, the AP now projecting that Donald Trump has won the state of Pennsylvania.
That is the race, frankly. There is no path forward for Hillary Clinton.
Fox News election alert. Pennsylvania goes to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency.
What a night!
And a complete earthquake. This was an earthquake unlike any earthquake I've really seen. It just came out of nowhere.
So help me God.
So help me God.
We are more divided than ever as a nation.
Sadness, some anger, some fear.
A racist, xenophobe, misogynist in the White House.
How did this happen? How did we become this? How could it have been prevented? As a high school senior voting in my first election, I wanted to answer these questions. In my findings, one thing was very clear. The support for Hillary Clinton was not there in 2016.
Donald Trump did not wildly outperform, in fact, in some ways underperform Mitt Romney in terms of the number of votes he got across the country. But she just did not get anything like the kind of support from this new coalition that Barack Obama seemed to have built for the party over the course of the last two cycles.
What I'm really surprised about is the depressed turnout on the Democratic side, the sort of collapse of the Obama coalition. We just assume, I mean, Donald Trump won this election. He got fewer votes total than Mitt Romney did in 2012, which tells you that it wasn't that hard for him to win. The reason it wasn't that hard for him to win is because it seems like there was a complete collapse of what was the Obama turnout machine.
Democratic votes counted for 26.5% of the total 55.4% of registered voters, while Republicans counted for 26.3%. When compared to the Obama-Romney election in 2012, total votes dropped from 60% to 55.4% in 2016. As a result, Democratic votes dropped from 30.6% to 26.5% in 2016. In comparison, Republican votes only dropped 2% from 2012. Essentially, the Republican base stood strong with Trump, and Democrats stayed home. However, the real eye-opening number here is that just over half of the eligible voter population actually voted in 2016, meaning the President of the United States was only elected by about a quarter of American citizens. So what happened to the other 44.6% of voters? I sat down with some local educators and politicians to hear their opinions. I spoke with Professor Partla Myrick, an African-American Studies and English professor at Howard Community College, about her experience with the 2016 election.
When Trump was elected, I remember having a class, and it was very tense, the energy. So whatever I had planned, I was like, I can't do this. And so I said, you all want to talk about this? And it was literally like one half the class was for Hillary and one half Trump. And we did that. It was students were crying, really upset, really scared. They didn't know what to expect.
High school government teacher Renard Parson shared his views about how politics have changed in America.
I think there is a little bit more rudeness. People are willing to be callous and a little bit more harsh, caustic, if you will. segments of the population, both on the left and the right, I feel like sometimes their words are a little bit too harsh. And I think that's a pretty new phenomenon. We've kind of lost that congeniality. We've kind of lost that respect. That, yeah, it's okay to disagree, and we don't have to be hateful about it. We don't have to be mean about it. And I think it's, it's kind of started probably before the 4 years. I mean, I can think President Obama delivering a State of the Union address, being called a liar in a joint session of Congress. I mean, that's part of it. That's not something that used to happen in American politics, in our democracy.
Howard County Councilwoman Liz Walsh shared her opinions about the increase of hateful rhetoric in politics.
The fact is that some really ugly, mean people have ascended to really high positions in government. And so that's the role model that we see, at least in the last 4 years, is really the most unkind is a gross understatement of what we're seeing.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
But, the worst kind of behavior, stuff that wouldn't be tolerated in a preschool sandlot is being strewn about on a daily basis on every possible platform, on every TV screen.
So what we've seen in the past with young voters is that they're often not involved in politics, and they try to shy away from it because of various reasons. But why do you think that young people are disengaged, and why do you think they should consider being more engaged in politics?
Okay, I can totally see why you would be disengaged, because look where we are right now. Like, this is what maybe my generation did. I'm very sorry for that. I do not know what happened. I get the disengagement, but I had that same disengagement when I was in my, teens and 20s and 30s. I wasn't paying attention either, and this is what I feel like this is what it brought. So there is for sure power in your voice individually, and even more so collectively. I think what someone who feels disengaged can do is find that issue that really motivates them, that really, does worry them, or that they care deeply about, or all of those things, and just engage on that one issue and see what change you can make. And I think you would be surprised by how far you can go, how many people you can bring with you, and the change that you can make. And I think that's what buoys you to keep doing it and to stay engaged and to broaden whatever it is that you're willing to do for yourself and for your community.
Young people in particular, it seems to me, and I could be mistaken from what I've seen and what I've read and what I've researched, are standing like, this is not what we signed up for. This is not the kind of country that we want to live in.
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous. Credibility of a witness
Shame on you,
an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please.
I get sick and tired of the richest people.
Regular order,
in this
Mr.
country
Chairman.
Getting richer and
Regular order.
richer. We do a tax.
Regular order.
Middle class.
Wait a minute.
I think, people that take that apathetic approach that my vote doesn't matter, politicians, are never going to listen to me. Well, first of all, if you don't vote, you're never, ever going to have a say. And it's more, civic duty is more than just voting, right? Those same people that complain that their vote doesn't work, when's the last time they sent a letter, an email? When's the last time they actually researched a certain issue and, informed their congressperson about it? Or, local politicians about it? So, yeah, I don't really understand when people say their vote doesn't matter. Of course, that's one of the processes of being active, being engaged, making this democracy work. Voting and actually also participating actively in our democracy, and not just letting the politicians have their way. Hold them accountable.
In 2016, young people were the largest group of eligible voters who did not show up on Election Day. Only 39% of eligible 18 to 24-year-olds actually voted. With the expanded age bracket of 18 to 29-year-olds, only 46.1% actually voted, with 55% supporting Clinton compared to Trump's 37%.
This current administration gave people the opportunity to take off the hoods, literally and figuratively. It gave people freedom to express what they had been saying, if not only in their own minds themselves, but to others. It gave people freedom and license to be absolutely open about where they are. It was already there. All of what we experience now just didn't happen overnight. This has been over a period of years, decades, centuries. It's startling that we're seeing it,
The country is in a scary place. The country is in a spot right now where we're at a crossroads. We get to choose our path, and whichever path we choose will lead us down a road of safety, inclusiveness, and unity, or divisiveness.
You guys know what socialism has done. Do not let them bring that satanic notion to this free and beautiful and blessed country.
My generation has one of the strongest voices of any generation in American history, and yet we choose not to use it a lot of the time. We'll post things on social media, not act. We'll talk about it with our friends, but not act. Acting is the most essential thing that can possibly be done, and people are intimidated by the voting process when it's not only our right, but it's our civic duty. Climate change is one of the most important issues our world is facing right now, and voters know that this election will determine which path we take.
From what I've seen, I think our generation has been one of the most progressive generations there has. I mean, if you look at like last year before the pandemic, like when Greta Thunberg became a really big, role model in the movement, it really got a lot of our generation really active, and there's a lot of organizations created now like Fridays for Future, which are all young people who understand the importance of like how urgent this issue is, because we're the ones that are going to be affected in the future.
Many studies show that young people are more motivated than ever to vote in this election, but the numbers don't mean anything if people don't show up.
Vote. Exercise that freedom. There's some people on this planet that can't do that. And whether we like one candidate or the other, or prefer one candidate or the other, be in the activity of this ideal of a democracy.
Of course you should vote. Again, it's such a hard fought right, and not all of us even yet have it. So you should enjoy that luxury, that privilege, and you should exert it. Of course you have a voice, and once you have a voice and you vote that person in, whether or not it's the person you voted in or not, they can answer to you. You can ask them why they're doing a certain thing, or why they can't do something that you'd rather see them do. Hold your leaders accountable.
I say you gotta vote. And if you don't feel like you're informed enough, then you know what? Inform yourself. Go out. There's plenty of places where you can get information about the elections and the candidates. Not only that, but if you don't feel like your vote matters, democracy doesn't stop at voting. Become an active part of our democracy. Do your part. Email your congressperson, your senators, your delegates. Ask them for the change that you're looking. Start a grassroots petition. I think people don't take enough of a role in that.
Right now is the most important time to become involved and be educated in what needs to be done, because this election will have effects for the rest of our lives.
It's election night in America, and a nation in crisis is at a crossroads.
We're counting down to the first exit polls and the first results as our coverage begins now.
A record 102 million people voted before this day even dawned.
Against that backdrop, some sense of the scope and scale of what is at stake tonight. And as if this night needed any more drama, there is no telling when we are going to have a winner.
Well, I think we still have a long night ahead. Obviously, Florida's a big win for the president. I think one of the big stories out of that is the way that the president has done so well in the Hispanic community. Florida being sort of one of the ultimate battleground states, also outperforming expectations with in the suburbs.
Protests broke out across the country overnight, including New York City, Chicago, Minneapolis, and Los Angeles, where frustrated Trump and Biden supporters took to the streets after the president falsely claimed victory, despite ballots still being counted in several states.
But I do think both campaigns right now are kind of feeling similarly about where we are with the map, which is that it's pretty wide open. We don't have enough information to know which direction this is going to go.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
At 253 electoral votes, Donald Trump at 214. Of course, the target here, 270. Biden is 17 away from that goal right now.
It's been just over 21 hours since the first polls closed on the East Coast. Last night, everything that Joe Biden wanted to flip essentially did not go his way. Now we're seeing them starting to flip. Arizona is flipping, Michigan, Wisconsin, the big swing states of the blue wall in the north. And we're looking like whenever Nevada and Arizona gets called, Joe Biden will have the 270 needed to be the next president of the United States.
We're going to win this race. Just look at what has happened since yesterday. 24 hours. We were behind in Georgia. Now we're ahead. 24 hours ago, we're behind in Pennsylvania, and we are going to win Pennsylvania. We're winning in Arizona, winning in Nevada. In fact, our lead just doubled in Nevada.
93, down to 97, and then you come out to real time now, down to 68. So if you're in the Biden campaign, they keep saying they're confident they're going to win this, but the trend line there is going in the other direction. It's just the flip side here. The president had a huge lead midnight on election night. As Tuesday gave way to Wednesday, the president had a huge lead, way up there, and now it's down to 18,000 votes.
It is the morning of November 6th. Georgia and Pennsylvania have just both flipped from red to blue, and he still has a lead in Nevada and Arizona.
After 4 long, tense days, we've reached a historic moment in this election. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States, winning the White House and denying President Trump a second term.
The Fox News decision desk can now project that former Vice President Joe Biden will win Pennsylvania and Nevada, putting him over the 270 electoral votes he needs to become the 46th president of the United States.
We did it. We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
The people spoke. We showed up. We showed out. I'm so proud of our people.
It is now my great honor to introduce the President-elect of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
My fellow Americans, tonight we're seeing all over this nation, all cities and all parts of the country, indeed across the world, an outpouring of joy, of hope, renewed faith in tomorrow. Bring a better day.
I'm up for being on the planet and moving toward the possibility of a real democracy. My oldest son and I have this debate always. He doesn't believe that it's possible, a real democracy. But, you know, I do.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify.
They're going to have to really work hard to reach across the aisle. Bipartisan measures on COVID relief, on fixing the economy, on foreign affairs. It can no longer be us versus them. We're all Americans. We've got to stop trying to affiliate ourselves just with a party. It's not going to end well if we don't.
I pledge to be a president who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States.
After a long election season and an even longer 4 years of uncertainty and worry, America has chosen a new path. A path where we strive to be one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.